the stream. Good to see you all here today. So, we're going into qualifying in 3, 2, 1. Hang on a minute, let me just show this to here. Click. Should come up with a little message. There we go. Lovely. Right, hopefully it stays on because it just cut out, but oh well. So, let's have a look. Let me get the stream. Yeah, I know, stream. I'm getting it. Here we go. The drivers want the stream so that they can race alongside the commentary. No. Race can only, sadly. Right. All good. This should be a good stream. So, yeah, we're here for qualifying then for the Slav Racing Australian Grand Prix. So let's see how this plays out. Let's get our lap data and our track map on the screen, which is done now, and who will come out on top. Mental Sun has been on a mental one in terms of form. He's been the dominant force all season long. Let me get the championship standings out so I can read them to you and prove the dominance that he's been on. Here we go. So Mental Sun leads the championship by 192. No, he leads the championship on 192 points, ahead of Flobberlob, who is, I can't work out that gap. He's 20 points behind. No, he's not. That's way more than 20. He's 50 points behind Mental Sun. So if Mental Sun DNFs twice and Flobberlob wins those two races, he will catch up. But that is what it's going to take for Mental Sun, for Flobberlob to take the championship lead in 2 races. We have Bryce in 3rd, missing the last race in Spain, and has lost a bunch of points to Graham Shifty in the McLaren. So Shifty on 86 points, Bryce on 116 points. So the battle for the championship lead has shifted into a 2-horse race, and it looks like it's going to go the way of Mental Sun, as I would be surprised if he loses his form in these next 2 races. We have Arimus, the owner of the league, ahead of Luco Sioux by 7 points. Luco Sioux on 62 points, and Arimus 8 ahead, should I say, on 70 points. And Arimus himself is only 16 points away from Graham Shifty as well. So that battle for 3rd is on for the 4, maybe even 5 drivers behind it, because Mr. Towers on 58 points, only 4 points behind Luco Sioux in the Ferrari, so that should be good to watch. Derek Quay on 48 points, and then Demonic Assassin and Raikkonen tied on 42 points. Then comes Benoit, 2 points behind that. Then comes, there's both Saubers, Jay Guti on 35 points. So I believe that's Anarchy. No, that's K-Nut Jay Guti, and then Luke Anarchy on 32 points. Then comes Druru Draki in the Alpine, as he looks like he's absent today, but he is on 21 points. Then comes Wagsy in the Williams on 20 points. Then comes Ollie on 14 points. Silent Assassin only on 6 points, which is a shame for him. He was doing very good in this season so far, but he's not really had the results to upgrade his position. Then comes Dynamics and JChem, both in the last 2 positions. The reserves have done quite well as well. Alex M on 21 points, tied with, who is he tied with? Let me check. He's tied on 21 points with the Alpine in 14th, so Dariku on points, but there goes Benoit then to the top of the table. He goes to set the benchmark time with a 1:17.5. There we go. I've just remembered the speaker audio now, so you should hear me a little bit better now. And yeah, so that's the benchmark, and it hasn't been beaten by Anarchy, but it has been beaten by the Mercedes of Mike Tallons. Looks like a debutant here in Slav Racing here in Melbourne. Down under we have G Shifty, a veteran, of this league, not able to get anywhere near Mike Talent. As Mike Talent set a 115.4, G Shifty with a 116.5, over a second behind Mike Talent. Mental Sun and Flubberlob might have a third driver in their battle today, and it looks like it could be Mike Talent. He looks like he has a lot of pace, but G Shifty is a second ahead of Benolds, and Benolds himself only a tenth or two ahead of both Sauber cars. As wound for K9 Cube, who hits the wall on the exit of turn 7, and as the balconies look over, the stranded Sauber, who gets back onto the track, fair play to him. Here we go then, we tab back on, and Flobberlob's at the top of the time with a 116.0. Interesting. He goes then out of the chicane into the next section. There's a wire in the way of my shifter here. There we go, I can flick on board now. So, it's a little bit disorganized, but it'll do. So we have Flubberlob entering the pits. And I'm just going to keep it somewhere. There we go, that way. Right, so Flubberlob in the pits. I'm using the wheel to control everything. So, Arimus then, let's have a look at his lap. The big midfielder in Slav Talk Racing here in this season, but as well in Australia, Flubberlob. So he's 6 tenths behind Mike Talent, but he's half a second ahead of G Shifty. Let's see if Mental Sun can get ahead. Mental Sun's retired, so that caught me out. So Mental Sun has retired from the session. After seeing the times from Mike Talent, he might be regretting that decision. So Mike Talent looks like a very quick driver, quali pace wise. Normally it's Mental Sun who's about 6 tenths ahead of everyone in qualifying, but it looks like Mental Sun might have a rival today, as we have both Red Bulls in the pits, Arimus and Silent Assassin both in the pits together. Assassin in desperate need of some points. Benolds with a 117.5, doing okay, but needs to do a little bit better to get up ahead of Arimus. He needs 2 tenths to find in his lap to get ahead of Arimus. Meanwhile, we have Mr. Towers then. He's currently in P4 in the Haas car. Let's see where that 71 Haas can go. He's one to do that. There we go. So, we're here again. 8 minutes 25 with Mr. Tower in the pits. He's backing out of that lap. Wagsy has gone to P3 in all of that carnage. He's the Williams man, 2 tenths ahead of Graham Shifty and a whole second ahead of Arimus, but he's 3 tenths behind Flobberlob in second, and he's just under a second away from Mike Talent in the Mercedes. Ooh, that sounds okay, doesn't it? How does this sound? Does that sound any better? Or that one? Or this one? This one sounds a little bit better. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, we'll do this then. So, Raikkonen then, let's see what his lap's turning out to be. He's wide again! So, the second driver I've seen go wide out of turn 10. It's easily done, to be fair. As you're carrying so much speed, you do lose a bit of aero sometimes, so you do have more aero, or less aero than you think sometimes. Let's have a look at K9 Cube. He gets through fine, but he's on an outlap, so he's not going flat out. Benolds up to P5. I didn't even realise, but Benolds a tenth ahead of Mr. Tower. This looks like one of Benolds' strongest tracks, because normally he's down in the lower half of the top 10, so around just under either under P5 or even, yeah, he's only around 15th to 7th, but he is up in 5th today. Good lap by Benolds. I'm kind of rooting for the Aston Martin now. as he is a bit of an underdog in here, in Slav Racing, but he's certainly putting the show on today. Let's have a look at G Shifty then, Graham Shifty. He turns through turn 15 and around turn 18, he's into the pits, not setting a lap time. Let's have a look at Flobberlob and Mr. Talent, who has invalidated his lap, as Talent there, he was 2 tenths up on his lap so far, and Flobberlob is 2 tenths up on his lap so far. Let's see if he can get through the Lakeside Drive chicane, or the Lakeside Drive sweepers, should I say. He does. He doesn't get invalidated, so could this be Flobberlob getting any closer to the pole time, as the Haas lets him through. And heading around the last few corners with Flobberlob. Let's see what he does. He locks up into the last chicane. That is going to cost him somewhat, but heading out of the last corner, down the Fangio straight, and over the line, he goes very close, half a tenth away from Mike Talons. Talons can go faster, and he nearly did, but he went off track in doing so, so that has cost him. Let's have a look at Derek Quay then. He's on a lap, ending the lap to be exact, and it looks like he's going to set a time on the board. He's going to be one of the last people to do so, apart from Luco Sirks and Mental Sun. He isn't going to set a time today, as he's retired, but up into P5 for Derek Way. That makes it a McLaren 3.5, and the gap between G Shifty and Wagsy is very close. A mere hundredth of a second between those. No, it's 4,000th of a second. No, it's not. It's maths. Hang on a minute. As Arimus goes ahead of G Shifty, Derek Quay takes out a bunch of cones on the inside of turn 4. Let's have a look at Silent Assassin then. Can he do any better than a 1:18.6? Well, he heads round the last chicane, and where does he go? He goes out of the last corner, over the line, over the Fangio straight, past the Mark Webber grandstand, and he goes to nowhere further. He sets a 1:21.1. Maybe this is his actual flying lap. Might have made a mistake on that previous lap that we didn't see. As Arimus in P3, we have Derek Quay coming back to the pits. Meanwhile, we have Silent Assassin heading out of turn 4. Let's stick with his lap. But before we do, actually, let's have a look at Luco Sirks then, the only driver left in the session to not set a time in this Melbourne qualifying session. He's heading out of Pinnacle Corner, known as turn 11, and then out through the Lauder curve at turn 12 into the last chicane. That number 2 Ferrari, the only Ferrari in this race today. Where is he going to put himself? Out of the last corner, over the line, past the Fangio grandstands. He goes to P6, and 1 tenth ahead of Derek Quay, but 1 tenth behind of Wagsy. So the Scuderia lays his mark down on the midfield battle, the upper midfield battle. Meanwhile, let's have a look back at the man currently in P14. He's invalidated. That is such a shame. Meanwhile, we have Raikkonen. I think him and Bernolds are on outlaps. Let's have a look at Raikkonen's lap then. Let's go on board with Raikkonen and go for a lap here at the Australian Grand Prix track here in Melbourne. The street circuit, which started racing in 1997, and now here in 2026 goes over the line. Has Raikkonen go over the line and go. Well, he's half a second quicker than his previous, apparently, according to his telemetry. Let's have a look at what kind of lap he does here then, as he goes into turn 3, the Nelson Piquet corner. As now round he goes into turn 4, the Ricardo corner, the Ricardo right, as it's known. Round the Summerland corner at turn 5 with the Williams, and then into turn 6, turn 7, and then past the balconies of the high hotels on the right hand side, round turn 8, onto Lakeside Drive. Who's going to have the most horsepower down here, and who's going to have the least aero here in the race? We'll find out later on, but with 2 minutes in this qualifying session left to go, Raikkonen 3 tenths up. This could put him right up to maybe the top 10 if he can keep this up. He's looking to be just behind Demonic Assassin in the order if he can hook this lap up. He set a 1:17.7 before, and as he heads around the Niki Lauda curve and then into the last chicane, he looks to set potentially a 1:17.4. Around the last corner with the Williams, and where does he put that car? As he goes past the Fangio grandstand, he goes to P11 and a 1:17.5, so he might have lost a little bit of time in that last sector. Good lap there by Raikkonen. Let's see if anyone can beat it. Bernald's currently on his lap, 3/10 down sadly, as there's the Haas potentially of Psycho Leds getting out of the way, as we have the man in P8, the Aston Martin, who's been on better form in qualifying than I've seen him in all season long. Let's see if he can improve on it. Round the last chicane, can the Aston do anything? The 21 car heads out the last corner and over the line past the Fangio grandstand. Oh, he doesn't go any higher. He's 8/10 away from his previous lap. Derek Quay currently on a lap as well as G Shifty. His teammate has also just started a lap. As also the Mercedes of Mike Tallons is starting a lap. Let's see who's ending their laps though. I think Anarchy could be. No, he's not. K9Q is starting a lap. We have Psycho Let's. Let's see. Demonic Assassin on an out lap. We have Raikkonen coming back to the pits after his immense lap. We have Wagsy on an out lap. Lots of people on out laps. We have Silent Assassin not going any higher. I think he set a quicker time though, but he didn't go any higher, sadly enough. Demonic Assassin starting his lap. Let's go to Silent Assassin retires. He's not going to do any more in this session. Meanwhile, Luco Sioux out of the last corner, goes over the line and isn't going to set a bad time. Meanwhile, Derek Quay in the McLaren, the first of the two papaya cars to set a final time in this qualifying session. Will it be an improvement? So Quay in the red and black helmet heads down the straight past the Mark Webber grandstand as well as the Fangio grandstand and goes over to P4, and he goes 9 thousandths ahead of his teammate G Shifty. Where does his teammate G Shifty go though? Can he improve by 9 thousandths of a second? He can do better. He goes 800ths better than his teammate Derek Quay, very close between the Woking cars, as Mike Tallons doesn't set a better time. So, oh, he does. No, he's a 10th down on his previous time as Floblob's invalidated Arimus heading out of the last corner. Let's see what he can do. Psycho Leds goes to P12 in between the Saubers, and Arimus into P3 doesn't improve his lap though. Let's have a look at Demonic Assassin though. He's in P10. Can he put the only French car on the grid today? Can he put it any higher than 10th? He can't. He's improved, but not by enough. What a session here in Slav Talk Racing. 10th for Demonic Assassin, and on par with the Mercedes driver of Mike Tallons, the Jamaican, goes to P1 ahead of the Brit, and then comes the Lithuanian of Arimus, if I'm not mistaken. Then comes the American of G Shifty, then comes his British teammate Derek Quay, then comes Wagsley ahead of the international Luco Sioux. Then comes the German of Mr. Towers ahead of the Canadian Bernolds. Then to round out the top 10, it's the Brazilian of Demonic Assassin. 46,000 separating the top two in the order. Flobolob, Mike Tallons, and I believe Mental Sun, as long as he's on a good day, they could be up to some great racing here in Slav Talk. So, I think we're on a break. We go at 8 o'clock, so 5-minute break. So, while we're waiting, let's have a look then. So, this should be a good race then. Who are you expecting to win? Let me know in the comments, and ask your family who you think you'll win. Ask your friends who do you think will win in this race. I believe I'm going to put my money on Mike Tallons. I think his pace looks very good, although I think Flobolob and Mental Sun, I'm kind of hoping they have a good battle, because that would be great to watch. But congrats to the Mercedes of Mike Tallons for pole position ahead of Flobolob. We are racing in Australia today, in Melbourne. We have had, or at least I've seen, a lot of great racing here in real life F1 and in sim racing in F1 on this game especially, but also on F1 24 and even F1 23 as well. So, while we're racing in Australia and after all the racing it's given us, let's play out the national anthem for Australia. So, yeah, that is the Australian national anthem to commemorate the country we're racing in today. As Demonic Assassin reporting at the end of qualifying that he, quote, loves people retiring on track and impeding others, and he means that in a sarcastic way, from what I can tell. So he's not happy with I believe, Silent Assassin retiring on track and not pulling into the pits, not going off the track, but retiring on the track while his car is still rolling, being a visual distraction to the Alpine. Jay Goosey, otherwise known as Canine Cube, saying that Turn 1 is going to be interesting, and I believe it will be. Spain Turn 1, last race in Slav Talk Racing, we were racing at Spain, and it was very clean. I have to say so myself, as we had side-by-side between Wagsy and Mental Sun for a good majority of the first lap, and behind that, I think our first incident wasn't at Turn 1, but it was at Turn 4 with the Ferrari of Razvan going wide. Razvan isn't racing today, sadly, that's why you're only seeing Luco Siux in the Ferrari rather than two Ferraris. But Razvan doing very well in qualifying, but wasn't really able to translate it well in the race. As, yeah, hopefully it should be a good one. Yeah, so if you're interested in the things I do, you can catch me on Gladiators TV, on Press and Practice, and also on the 4th of April, doing the commentary for that, for the first race of the season, Plymouth Gladiators versus the Poole Pirates in dirt bike speedway racing. So that should be very fun. We also have Ocean City Radio, Joe's radio show, coming up as well. So on the Friday, I can't remember the date, 3rd of April. 3rd of April, Friday, you can listen to Joe's radio show from Friday the 3rd of April, 12 PM until 2 PM. So yeah, it should be good. Yeah, I want to say as well, I don't know how many races are left in the season. Let me have a look. This is the last round. I've only just realised, so I've just had a look at the calendar. No, there's a wildcard round. I've seen that. Right, so this is the penultimate round in the season. So what Flobbelob needs is to win both of these races and for Mental Sun to DNF. If that doesn't happen, if Mental Sun can score at least 1 point today, or if Mental Sun doesn't score any points but Flobbelob finishes second or lower, that will crown Mental Sun as your champion. So we could have a champion crowned today here in Slav Talk Racing, and we're away for the formation lap. As we have Mike Talent here, but at the back of the grid, the 88 V-Cab could become the Slav Talk Racing champion for this season. Will it happen? Well, You'll find out in the next hour and a half of racing. I believe it will be a good watch. Stay tuned. Meanwhile, Mike Talon's looking for a breakthrough at the end of the season. Couple of wins potentially in the last 2 races. So this is the second last race on the calendar. But the last race of the calendar, I can't tell you the track because the drivers and the people in Slav Talk Racing's Discord server have to vote on what track should be the finale. What track do you think should be the finale? Let me know in the comments and in the chat. And yeah, what track should be the finale to this incredible championship? Will we have a championship decided at that final round, or will it be sealed up here? So let's see. Mental Son, I believe, is the deserving champion of this league purely because of his incredible, impeccable consistency through this championship season, although Flobbelob and Briars as well, they've done very well. Big shout out to the midfield in this league as well. Very good racing in the midfield of this league. I've really enjoyed it. So, thank you to Arimus. Wait, I should probably save the thank yous to the last round, because I'd be here all day. So, yeah, this should be a good one then. We're waiting for your potential champion at the end of today to line up on the grid. He's going from last. Where will he finish? We'll find out. Lukosiuk going out of position on the grid. That's going to cost him potentially, as we have, here we go then, 5 lights on in front of the drivers. We're away for Slav Talk Racing. Will a champion be crowned today? Let's have a look then. As to the inside for Flobbelob, he takes the lead early. He wants to keep his championship hopes alive, and he is showing that. As there's a couple cars wide in the background. As there's a spin, Aston. Oh my lord, there's cars everywhere. As there's an Aston Martin of Bernard, there's Psycho Leds and the Silent Assassin in the Red Bull, and K9 Cube in the Sauber. 4 cars off in the first few meters of the Grand Prix. Meanwhile, we have Lukosiuk losing a lot of places in that as well, as out of the searching for Demonic Assassin. The Alpine's in the wall at Summerland corner. That is such a shame for him.
So let's see what happened at the start then. In the back of the pack, round the outside for Bernolds, and he just gets clipped, and that sends a chain reaction through the field.
As that was a chaotic 5 corners. We had 4 cars spinning, and we had Demonic Assassin in the wall at the same place where where Jack Doohan crashed in real life in the Australian Grand Prix of 2025. Absolute drama. But Flobbelob had the launch of a Hot Wheels launcher to take the lead from Mike Talons, showing that no, you are not going to show up out of nowhere and take the crown from me. No, I have a championship to hold on to here. I'm still in the running for this championship and I still want to win it, says Flobbelob. Mike Talon saying, alright, you are going to put up a fight. Let's see how much of a fight you'll put on. Full course yellow aborted. And into turn 1 for the second time. And hopefully it'll be a lot cleaner. Mike Talon's in second. Then comes Wagsy, then comes G-Shifty holding off Arimus. We have Raikkonen in the pits, looks like he might have had damage. As then we get to Mental Son, who has cleared those cars, but in that full course yellow, Bernolds, Psycho Led, and Silent Assassin have all caught up as well. But yeah, what a chaotic turn 1 that was. As we have the Ferrari of Lukosiuk on lap 2 in P9. We have the Aston Martin of Bernolds then. He's trying to stay with Mental Son for as long as he can. He's going to get DRS down the straight. Let's have a look at the battle though between G-Shifty and Arimus. Arimus, the Lithuanian, glides by Graham Shifty, and Shifty now has to shift down a position and get used to the dirty air. To the inside for Bernolds, who gets ahead of the championship leader. Bernolds helping his teammate out gets Mental Sun out of the points. At this rate, the championship would not be decided, and it would have been down to Bernolds. As contact between Silent Assassin and Psycho Leads, very close between the pair of them. As we have heading out of the last corner, Mental Sun. Then it looks like Bernolds is on. Bernolds is having a great weekend so far, or a great session so far. He's in the points. He's qualified well. He's now battling with the championship leader and helping his teammate out in the process. Meanwhile, his teammate has the Mercedes, the newcomer, who is up the order off the bat, and he is looking to take that pole position, that lead, looking to take it back after losing it at turn 1. Let's have a look at Bernolds then. Bernolds, actually, he's got ahead of Mental Sun. Let's see, Bernolds on the medium tyres, so that could explain why he's having such a good start at the moment. As Mr. Tower gets ahead of Derek Way on Lakeside Drive, will Bernolds do the same thing? He will! To the outside, and to P9! What a move by Bernolds, who gets ahead of Luco Sioux. He is using those medium tyres very well. I just get the feeling that, strategy-wise, he might suffer. Meanwhile, we have something changed in the order. I'm not too sure who it was, but someone definitely swapped round in the order ahead, I think, or was I thinking of Bernolds and Lucas here? Because I'm not too sure. Oh, whoops. Meanwhile, we have, for just pre-warning, you might see me pausing the game slightly. That's because I'm not streaming on Twitch, sadly, because of age verification issues. I'm having to record it, but the recording cuts out after 10 minutes, so I have to keep checking on the recording, then stopping and starting, and it's a little bit of a hindrance. But I will plough through, and I will make a commentary out of this today for your entertainment, because this is a championship you do not want to keep your eyes off of for long. Let's see that gap, it's closed between the Mercedes and what's happened to Silent Assassin. He's lost the place to Psycho Leads, and Mental Sun's gone off. Mental Sun was behind Luco Sioux, and he's now gone off and lost 2 positions in the process. He's gone from 11th to 13th. What has happened to the championship leader here in Australia? The man who's looking to take the championship today isn't looking like he's going to be able to. As we have, let's see. So we have K9 Cube ahead of Mental Sun now. Mental Sun really struggling. Let's see, he's locking up going deep. Is he gonna have to pit or something? Has he got damage? It doesn't look like he has damage, but something's up with that VCAL, because he has lost a lot of time. You don't just lose 3 positions, especially as all 3 of those positions are very spaced out. I am confused. I want to keep watching Mental Sun for a bit, just to see what's going on, because every time we cut away from him, he's lost a lot more time. I'm not too sure what's going on. As K9 Cube on the same tyres as Arimus gets ahead of Graham Shifty. Both McLarens outside the top 4, and Arimus puts his Red Bull up into the top 4 and is now chasing after Wagsy. Meanwhile, the Mercedes and the Aston Martin closing up as Mr. Tower in the wall. He's got no front wing, and Mr. Tower, who is up in P6, has now let Derek Quay through, and also let Anarchy, Bernolds and Luco Sioux all go through, and he's probably going to have to pit, because without a front wing, you are really struggling as a driver, as the car just really doesn't want to turn, but you need it to turn to avoid crashing. The 71 has, who was he's so competitive, but he just lost the car, sadly, as Raikkonen becomes the first man in the race to get a penalty. That's a shame for him as well. Mental Sun looks like he's getting back onto form slowly but surely. He's now up into 13th because of Mr. Tower going off, and he's now looking to get up into P12. Let's see what Mental Sun does. Oh, we've cut away. And now we're back with Mental Sun, who's going round the outside of K9 Cube. Nicely done. And you'd expect nothing less from the championship leader, as the lead has changed. And the recording has ended just as that happened. But Mike Talent has taken back the lead on Lakeside Drive. He's got ahead of Flobberlob. And now it's the Aston Martin's turn to try and get ahead of the Mercedes. Meanwhile, the McLaren of Graham Shifty saying, no, I want 4th place, and taking it for good for now. As meanwhile, the Aston Martin getting very close. We have the Sauber here trying to catch up to the McLaren. Bernol's here as well, just behind Anarchy. We have Luco Siux closing up to Psycho Leds. As we have... Let's have a look then at Mental Sun. He's closing up to the back of Silent Assassin now. And he got ahead of Silent Assassin, but then ended up spinning and losing a lot of time. But let's see what he does then. It's the V-Car versus the Red Bull. As he gets the move on the inside of the last corner. Nicely done by Mental Sun. And he gets back up into 11th. And now it's the chase for 10th. All he needs is 10th place today, as hanging it round the outside is Silent Assassin. Very aggressive by the Red Bull driver on the championship leader. But Mental Sun says, no, I've seen this trick before. I'm just going to hang it round the outside at turn 2 and then use the DRS into turn 3 to take back 11th. And now, Silent Assassin doing that has actually hurt him a bit, because now K9 Cube's all over the back of him, heading into turn 6. Meanwhile, round Pinnacle Corner with the leaders, no changes at the moment. The Sauber of Anarchy looks like he's not going to be able to close up to the back of Derek Quay. Meanwhile, the Red Bull here, under pressure from the Sauber, who cuts the corner. Heading down into Pinnacle Corner. Let's see then. Can K9 Cube do it? No, he can't. He stays in 13th for the moment. We're going to have a look at the battle between Luco Siux and Bernolds. Bernolds up in 8th now, not far off where he qualified. But he does have that scooter rear Ferrari behind him, which is a little bit disconcerting, especially because Luco Siux is one driver who doesn't often like to be behind an Aston Martin, especially not in the midfield. He'd rather be ahead chasing after Derek Quay and Anarchy, who themselves are having a battle. But meanwhile, Anarchy's teammate, K9 Cube, is now all over the back of Arimus's teammate, known as Silent Assassin, and Assassin gives him a little nudge, a little flip to the inside to say, no, I want this position and I'm gonna keep it, if I can. K9 Cube then. Let's see what he does. Meanwhile, I think Mental Sun is all over the back of Psycho Leds, and I'm right, because round the outside goes Mental Sun, and Luco Siux gets Bernolds at the same time. So that's Luco Siux up into 8th, Bernolds down to 9th, and not making the move stick again. That's Mental Sun now up into 10th. If he stays there for 20 more laps, he will be the champion, without a doubt. No matter what happens, he would be the champion. Meanwhile, Silent Assassin doesn't let K9 Cube get ahead of him, but Silent Assassin does have penalties to worry about. He also has K9 Cube on the inside to worry about as well, but doesn't make the move stick. Incredible. But holds into turn 1 behind him as K9 Cube gets ahead of Silent Assassin, and Assassin nearly hits the wall on the exit of the last corner. Incredible stuff. Meanwhile, we're going to keep an eye on Bernolds and Luco Siux. Oh, Bernolds going a little bit wide. He took that corner very acutely, did Bernolds in the Aston Martin. But as he heads out of Summerland Corner into the turn 6, 7 and 8 section onto Lakeside Drive. Here we go then. Can a move be made by the Aston Martin? No, he can't. As he has to back out and he stays in 9th place. No pit stops being made so far. I'm a little bit surprised because, at least in my experience as a driver here, the tyre degradation is very high, especially on the rear tyres. You do seem to lose grip on those rear tyres very quickly. Meanwhile, here comes Luke Anarchy then. He's trying to get ahead of Derek Quay. and he is looking to do so into turn 1. Is he going to get enough of a run? It doesn't look like it, but let's not call this over yet, because heading out of turn 2 into turn 3, he could have a move made, but he's a little bit too far back as far as I can see. Because if he makes a move from there, he is going to crash, and I'm right, he doesn't make a move. He's probably waiting to get onto Lakeside Drive, where he can just breeze past the McLaren with ease. Meanwhile, the other McLaren of Graham Shifty, now with Wagsy, can he make the move stick? Round he goes, down Lakeside Drive, and it's Graham Shifty who gets to turn 9 first, ahead of Wagsy. Then comes Arimus, who's looking to pick up on the scraps of that battle. Here comes the Sauber then of Luke Anarchy. He still can't make a move. What about the Aston Martin of Benolds? He's closing up quite rapidly, but he's not able to make a move. He would be if they were heavy braking, but because that corner is such a fast flowing corner, it's just too dangerous to make a move there without a crash. So he backs out of it, but he is still in P9, which is good. Mental Sun currently is the champion at the moment, if it stays like this. And Florbalom, his championship rival, into the pits. Right as I say that, where does he come out? He is the first one to pit. And remember the Austrian Grand Prix in Slav Talk Racing, when Florbalom was able to do a one-stop strategy compared to everyone else who was only able to do a two-stop, and he ended up winning that race only by 4/10 of a second. But why do I bring that up? Well, that's because Flobolob and his tyre management cannot be matched in this league from what I can see, at least at his pace. So this will be interesting, as now Flobolob only 2 positions ahead of Mental Sun, as a lot of other people pit as well. Let's actually get the pit graphic up on our thing, as Flobolob gets ahead of Anarchy straight away. He's clearing cars, as let's see then, Benolds comes out the pits as well. So both Aston Martins, both Haskars, and the Sauber of K9 Cube, and the Silent Assassin, as Flobolob gets ahead of Derek Quay as well. So Flobolob overtaking cars for fun on this outlap, and that is exactly what he needs to do to get the overcut on Mike Talons, if that's what he is going for. Oh, having a drink. Throat's burning. Anyway, into the pits comes Waxy now as well. So the Williams, he's not going to come out ahead of Flobolob. He's going to come out quite far behind that lot, I'd suspect. Is he going to come out ahead of Lucosiux and Mental Sun? Doesn't look like it. No, he's going to come out just behind them both, and into P9, and he's lost a bit of time, but he is well ahead of Benolt, who is the guy behind him who pit. As, whoa, big lockup for Lucosiux, and he has damage. I didn't even realise Benolt has damage on that driver's left hand side, so our right hand side. Looking at him now. Look, the wall on the end of his front wing is gone. The end fence, I think it's called. It's gone, and that is going to cost him time heading through these corners. Meanwhile, Mental Sun, can he get up into P7 on the racetrack? Let's see. It looks like he's not able to. Heading out of turn 10, he's very close. He's now got DRS open, and into turn 11, into Pinnacle Corner as it's known. He gets ahead, but he puts Lucosiux onto the gravel, and now Wagsy is looking at Lucosiux thinking, ooh, I could do with 8th place. Can I get ahead of this Ferrari? Meanwhile, Arimus in the pits, the owner of Slav Talk Racing, in that number 21 Red Bull. Can he get out ahead of Lucosiux and Wagsy? As Wagsy now side by side with Lucosiux, as no, he's not able to get ahead of Siux. Arimus comes out just behind that, and look how close the Williams and the Scuderia Ferrari are. The Ferrari nearly getting hit by the Williams, who goes down the inside. Is he going to make the move stick? It depends on how they get round Ricardo corner. And the Williams is ahead with a very good move through turn 3 and 4. That is incredible. Through the PK and Ricardo corners. That is great stuff by Wagsy. And now he has Mental Sun in front of him. And don't forget Spain, Mental Sun and Wagsy battling on that first lap. Potentially some unfinished business between the pair of them, especially because Mental Sun hasn't pit yet. So Mental Sun has to keep putting the pace on to get up the field. Meanwhile, Mike Talon's still not pitting yet. As well as G Shifty. Floblob in third, even though he has pit, which could leave Mike Talon's vulnerable. But remember, Floblob would have been on older tyres, and those tyres will provide less grip, which means he'll have to take the corner slower to avoid crashing. And in doing so, that could let Mike Talon's close up to the back of him. So right, so lap 14 out of 29. Just in case, I'm going to record that, and then I'm going to record again. There we go. So, after sorting out the recording, we are back with Slav Racing League on lap 14, and we have on board with the Williams, and in the pits comes Gino. Floblob has got ahead of Graham Shifty on the track here on lap 14. Nicely done by the Aston Martin, who gets ahead of the McLaren. It's all Mercedes powered cars in the top four. Then comes the Ferrari powered Sauber of Anarchy. Then comes the Honda powered V-Carb of Mental Sun. Before then, Wagsy in the Mercedes powered Williams gets ahead of Mental Sun in the Honda powered V-Carb out of the blue, as now the Ferrari of Luco Siux, he's not able to get ahead of Aramis, and I believe Mental Sun should have probably come into the pits on the lap prior, and he is coming into the pits this lap though. He has lost a bit of time, but he is into the pits now. Let's see where he comes out then, as meanwhile we have Wagsy looking for a move on the Sauber. Not going to make the move stick. Also keep an eye on Mental Sun dropping down the order. Let's see where he comes out, if he can come out in P10 or not. That will be very interesting. Round the outside for Wagsy on the Sauber of Anarchy. It works for the Williams, and he gets ahead of the Sauber. Meanwhile, Bernolds is ahead of Mental Sun, but Sun himself is in P10 in the championship winning position. But he has Mr. Tower all over the back of him, who could be the deciding factor on if Mental Sun wins the championship or not. Him and Mike Talons could be the deciding factors of this championship, and if it's won or not. So, Mike Talons then, Sloblob does have a penalty. Let me put the penalties on. He does have a 3-second penalty. So, heading round then, we have Wagsy now closing up to the back of Derek Quay, as we still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, we have 5 cars who haven't pit yet, and remember, every car in this field has to pit at least once in this race, and 2 of them are doing it now. Meanwhile, down the straight, Wagsy gets ahead of both McLarens heading into turn 1. He gets ahead of Derek Quay on the track. He gets ahead of G Shifty, who is coming out of the pit lane, and also Luco Siux now closing up to G Shifty, and also losing places is Anarchy, who comes out behind Mental Sun, and potentially even behind Mr. Tower. Let's see, this is going to be very tight between the pair of them. Nearly into the back of the Sauber for the Haas, and into the wall for Mr. Tower, who was very eager to get past, and so eager he whacked his front wing off by whacking the wall. Incredible. Meanwhile, Mental Sun could go up into P8, but he does have his championship rival's teammate right in front of him. How much can Bernolds help Floblob? Let's see. He just needs to battle Mental Sun as much as he can, but he can't do anything down late side drive because Mental Sun gets ahead of Bernolds. Meanwhile, Luco Siux, Derek Quay and Mike Talons all have to pit in these last few laps, taking their tyres longer than anyone else can in this race. Derek Quay becomes the 3rd last man to pit in this race, or the 3rd last man to make his first stop in this race, should I say, because there might be people pitting again. But taking that front wing off, putting a new one on as well, so he had damage as well, so that's going to cost him a lot of time. He's now going to come out behind both the Hasses, potentially. No, not both the Hasses, because into the pits comes Mr. Tower, who broke his front wing before. But Derek Way is going to come out behind Psycho Leds, but he's going to come out ahead of Canine Cube. Maybe not far ahead, but far enough ahead to stay ahead. Meanwhile, Silent Assassin, he's going to get ahead of Mr. Tower in the pits. Raikkonen has been lapped by this man in the Mercedes, who still isn't pitting. He's refusing to pit within the first 17 laps of this race. Flobbelob closing up behind him. I wonder if Mike Talent is waiting for Flobbelob to catch up to a certain gap and then gonna pit then. So it looks like Mike Talent is gonna do a one stop, but is it gonna be the one stop that will win him the race? Because Flobbelob is going for, if he is doing a one stop strategy, he could have done his one stop early and be hanging out to the end. Meanwhile, round the outside for Derek Way, he's looking for the move on Psycho Leds. He switches to the inside on the exit of Pinnacle Corner and makes the move stick into Louder Corner. Meanwhile, the inside of the chicane for Psycho Leds. That's an incredibly bold move, but not bold enough to catch out Derek Way, who stuck it round the outside and kept ahead for P10 in the race. Remember, if you're P10 or lower, you don't score any points. If you're 10th, you score 1 point, which is what Derek Way would score. As out of the race for Silent Assassin, and it's a safety car, and that has helped Mike Talent out a lot. And whoa, what's happened to the tyre? What on earth has happened to that tyre? But it is a safety car in this race. So Flobbelob, does Flobbelob pit now? He does. That's interesting. So Flobbelob pits. I reckon it will be medium tyres. It's medium tyres for the Mercedes. What will it be for the Aston Martin? I'm going to stop and start the recording. So into the pits then, we have Flobbelob. Intermediate tyres? Is it going to rain at the end of this race? And if so, Mike Talent has made the wrong call. Someone has made the wrong call. I don't know what to think. Is it going to rain? Well, the Williams team don't think so, because they're putting dry medium tyres on that car. But what is Flobbelob doing? Or is Flobbelob being a genius? I don't know. The dry tyres on the hard, so the hard dry tyres for Arimus, the dry tyres for G Shifty, Mental Sun on dry tyres. What about the Sauber crew? They don't think it's going to rain, so they're putting on medium tyres. They're keeping Canine Cube out on the track. As out of the pits for Bernolds as well. So both Aston Martins think it will rain. But the V-Carb team don't think so. The Ferrari team thinks so. And the Haas team don't think so. So who has made the right call? This is incredible. And what has happened with Flobbelob? He went off then. I think he was trying to avoid Raikkonen. So you might get confused. There are two Williams at the front of the pack, but one of them is a lap down. Kimi Raikkonen in the Williams is currently one whole lap down compared to the field. So Raikkonen is on lap 18, whereas everyone else is on lap 19. So this has really hurt Raikkonen as he can't get his lap back. But everyone else who didn't get lapped is now going to be over a lap ahead of him, which is a very hard pill to swallow. So, yeah, that is incredible. I'm going to take a break. A water break. And it looks like we're going to have to get used to water in this session. So, yeah, yellow flags, safety car deployed, lap 20. Heading on the exit of turn 2. Water, hydration. I might get Iron Brew tomorrow. I love Iron Brew. Right. So, let me know who you think is going to win. Have a little chat now. Who has made the right call? I have to say, it's such a shame that us as like commentators and spectators don't get the radar. We don't get to see the weather, whereas the drivers and the teams do get to see the weather. So for us, it's a bit of a surprise when we see someone put green coloured tyres on and we think, hang on a minute, it's gonna rain? Or is it gonna rain, or are they making the wrong call? It's so difficult to tell from our point of view, but from the driver's point of view, it can look very black and white, especially as the engineer will be telling them rain in 5 or 10 minutes, rain in this amount of time, you know what I mean? So it's a shame we don't have if we were in their positions, having an engineer tell us 5 minutes until rain, we could really get excited for it. But we have us as spectators, we have this element of surprise where we can only tell by the clouds getting a bit whiter, which doesn't always make the most difference, especially when you're not looking at the clouds, you're looking at the action below the clouds. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting watch. It looks like we have potentially one more lap under safety car. We're waiting for Mr. Tower to catch up to the field, and those in the... I'm just going to put the penalties up so you can see who's going to lose their positions and who won't. So Floblob does have that penalty to worry about. Mr. Talon staying out for that long, he was right to in the end. That safety car really helping his race out. But if he has made the wrong call in terms of the dry tyres instead of the wet tyres, he could, and the Haas boys, Mr. Tower, he's on intermediates as well. So let me just confirm. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 people on wet intermediate tyres. Tyres designed for rain. But that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, hang on, number boards. 10? Yeah, 10 people who are on dry tyres, or tyres made for dry track, not made for the wet track, because wet track means those tyres get really cold and they start slipping and sliding everywhere. Safety car in this lap. So, Mr. Tower isn't going to be able to catch up. What about Flobberlob? What about... Can Mike Talons win his first race in Slav Talk Racing? Can Flobberlob help his championship gap out? Can Mental Sun become the champion here in Slav Talk Racing? All of these questions to be answered in the last few laps of action. Who will come out on top? We get the green flag remote ready. And oh wow, Raikkonen getting very close to to Mike Talons, as Raikkonen in the pits, potentially for wet tyres, but we are green, 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 go, 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 and Mike Talons gets a flying restart. Flobberlob now under pressure from Wagsy in the Williams to the inside, and gets ahead into second place. So Flobberlob's strategy hurting him in the early part. Raikkonen ends his race early. We have Arimus and G Shifty looking to get ahead of Flobberlob, who is dropping down the order like a pin to the inside now for Graham Shifty. Is he going to make the move stick? Yes, he is, heading round Summerland corner. Flobberlob has gone from 2nd to 5th, and he is now under pressure from Derek Quay, who's looking to go up into 5th place himself. Look at this! 4 cars nearly inside of each other, as we have Mental Sun now getting ahead of K9 Cube. We have Mental Sun now looking to get ahead of Flobberlob, and Derek Quay gets ahead of Flobberlob. Mental Sun and the Sauber of K9 Cube, all of them get ahead of the Aston Martin. Meanwhile, Derek Quay getting round Flobberlob has actually hurt him a bit, because now here comes Mental Sun. Anarchy is round, Anarchy is spun, and Anarchy is out of the points. Meanwhile, the rain is falling. I don't know if you saw it, yeah, it's falling ever so slightly, but is it going to rain hard enough for Flobberlob to get back up the order? As Psycho Lens gets ahead of Lucas Yux. DRS enabled from the safety car, but it could be disabled if the rain gets any harder. Incredible stuff, as we have into turn 1 and 2. Who is going to come out on top? as yeah, on recording, as we have this is incredible racing, I have to say so myself. Anything can happen in Formula 1, but when you don't know it's gonna happen, it's certainly incredible. As Mental Sun now up into 5th ahead of his championship rival, but is he gonna stay there, or is he gonna have to come into the pits for wet tyres? And if he does, can Flobbelob keep his tyres cold enough to not puncture them, to not make them too worn to make any advantage or any gain? This looks like it's turned into one of the toughest races as a driver. But Psycho Lens now gets ahead of Flobbelob. Now Flobbelob into P9. We have the 4 people on wet tyres in the bottom 5 of the running order. And we have the top 8 all on dry tyres. But will any of that change in the next 4 laps? It's so hard to tell. Well, Mike Talent, the Jamaican, must be feeling jovial about his debut today. Heading into the Nelson PK corner ahead of Wagsy on the mediums. We have Mr. Tower getting overtaken by Anarchy on the dries, and it looks like Anarchy is going to get ahead of Benoit. And Benoit has lost a part of his front wing. That driver's right hand end fence has come off on that Aston Martin, and he is making contact with Anarchy, who shoves it down the inside of the Ricardo corner, and in turn, look at that, Benoit struggling without the front wing and on the wet track, or the greasy track should I say, because it's not quite wet yet. It is just greasy, but it's greasy enough to take Mr. Towers off the track and into the wall on the exit of turn 7, and he's out of the race, but he's not lost a wheel, so he's just going to park up, and that shouldn't cause any kind of intervention into the race. So the track getting greasier. Is it going to be greasy enough for the dry tyre runners to start falling off the road? It's very hard to tell, but we're just going to have to keep watching to find out. There's nothing that can help us predict what's going to happen, which makes the surprising incidents a lot more incredible to watch. Meanwhile, the man who is currently in position to be a champion in Slav Talk Racing now makes that even more of a possibility, because up into P4 for Mental Sun, starting from last on the grid to 4th in the order at the moment. We have now into turn 6 for Mental Sun. Meanwhile, look at this. The Sauber's getting very much into the nitty-gritty of the action here. I'm going to take off this graphic because it's blocking your view of this incredible battling that's going on at the moment. But, oh, nearly spinning on the exit of Summerland corner, turn 5. That's Anarchy getting very loose, and he's battling for P10. And remember, P10 is the lowest you can finish to get a point. So if you're P11 or lower, you don't get any points. But if you're P10, you do get 1 point. And it looks like Anarchy is looking for that 1 point. And it looks like he's hungry for it. Meanwhile, we have his teammate currently in between Psycho Leds and Flobbelob. Flobbelob does have a penalty, remember, as does G Shifty, but Shifty is far enough ahead so that even if he does get hit with that penalty, it's not going to cost him any positions. Meanwhile, here comes Anarchy. He's not made the move stick yet. Here comes Flobbelob then. He's slowly closing on the Sauber, but the DRS is still enabled. It's still dry enough for DRS, which means, in my mind anyway, that it's still dry enough for dry tyres. Even though the track is greasy, it's not wet, and a greasy track is still dry enough for the yellow, the red and the white coloured tyres to work in a good way compared to the green intermediate tyres. As meanwhile we have Arimus getting very close to the back of Wagsy. Is he going to be able to make a move in these next 3 laps? Only time will tell. As out of the race for Benoit! That is such a shame! And the safety car called for the second time in these last 10 laps of the Grand Prix. But that is such a shame for Benoit. He was doing so well. but the yellow flags come out. Oh, that is heartbreaking. I am absolutely gobsmacked. Bernal, who had qualified in P7, I believe, was running in the points for most of the race, but the rain falls and the rain falls, and when it falls, it drips. No, that's not the same, is it? No. It's such a shame for Bernal. I'm so sorry for it, but that means everyone who isn't last in the race is going to get a point, at least a point in this race. Everyone pitting for the intermediates now. Flobolob's gamble looks like it isn't going to pay off in the way that he hoped, because now you'll see in a minute who's ahead of him. Did I start recording? No, I didn't. There we go. Here we go. Out of the last corner. Graham Shifty on the dries, everyone else behind him on the wets. Who will take the win? Down the straight they go, and it's Mike Talons to the inside, who will take the lead. No, he won't, because G Shifty hangs it around the outside. He still has a little bit of grip on those dry tyres in order to keep Mike Talons behind out of turn 1. And he nearly forces Mike Talons off at turn 3, but the Mercedes of Mike gets ahead on the exit of turn 4 at the Ricardo corner. Meanwhile, Wagsy ahead of Mental Sun in the wall, and the man who could be the champion today has hit the wall, damaged his wing. Flopolob right behind him looking to capitalise. As Arimus now losing positions, it's an absolute mental midfield scrap, and Mental Sun is at the front of it. At the moment, the battle for P4 and lower is absolutely heating up. Mental Sun in the wall, and it Constantinoed everyone else behind. There was almost a huge crash between Flobolob, the Ferrari of Lucas Yokes, and Arimus. Look at how close they all are now. But as they head into the last lap, the green flags have dropped, and it has been absolutely incredible over these last few laps of the Grand Prix. But we head up the order, and we head up to the man who gambled, just refused to pit under green flag conditions, and the safety cars being his golden charm today. Mike Talons has the talent for potential future championships here in Slav Talk Racing. Meanwhile, Wagsy gets up into P2, as in the wall for Flobolob as well. Round the outside potentially for Mental Sun, down the inside he hits into the back of the McLaren, nearly takes it off into the grass, and now there goes Flobolob, who goes flying through as well. So the McLaren of G Shifty gambling on the dry tyres, that hasn't paid off at all. Meanwhile, the championship rivals right up near each other as they head out of turn 6 and 7, heading under the balconies on the exit of turn 8, down Lakeside Drive. Who will come out on top in the battle for the podium? Round the outside for Flobolob. It could be a good move. And it is a good move. He makes it stick, but it won't be enough for him to claim the championship away from Mental Sun, who gets penalties. That's important as well. But Mike Talons, who comes in and shows that he has the talent in Slav Talk Racing. Let's see what happens then in the midfield, but out of the last corner, Mike Talons is victorious in Melbourne. He goes over the line and takes Mercedes to their first win in Slav Talk Racing. That isn't from Briars. Then comes Wagsy, then comes Flobolob, and we look at everyone else going over the line, and Mental Sun is your champion for Slav Talk Racing in this season. Incredible. What a race by Mental Sun. Commiserations to Aston Martin, for Bernal and Flobolob for losing the championship. But the V-Carb, the white branded V-Carb of Mental Sun, the man who has been at the front of the pack more than anyone else this season, a deserved champion, and after an absolutely, it felt like a lottery to win this race. but Mike Tallons in the Mercedes, showing that he is a potential champion of the future in Slav Talk Racing. And there he is on the podium, celebrating, filming the moment. The Jamaican makes it happen on debut. That is incredible. We're going to have 2 national anthems to end this race. One for the winner and one for the newly crowned champion, who isn't on the podium sadly, but is a deserved champion. Mental Son, congratulations. Well, thank you ever so much for watching. But before you go, I have to kind of acknowledge the achievements of 2 people today after that incredible Australian Grand Prix. Firstly, I have to celebrate the achievements of one Mike Tallons, the first Jamaican here in Slav Talk Racing in this season. Is a talented one at that. Let's hear the national anthem for the race winner of the Australian Grand Prix in Slav Talk Racing League after 29 laps of racing. It's Mike Tallons for Mercedes. So, we have a new champion in Slav Talk Racing after a frantic Australian Grand Prix before the last race of the season in the Wildcard Grand Prix. Mental Son is your champion after finishing in P6 in Australia. At times it looked like he was going to have to wait until the last round to clinch it, but then the rain fell and the champion rose to the pedestal. To commemorate such an incredible achievement, this is the Polish national anthem for the Polish champion in Slav Talk Racing.